Thank you, Chair. Thinking about the 2030 net zero target thing at the moment, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 0 being no chance and 10 being absolutely, how likely are we to hit it?
I don't know. I've rushed to press the button. It's a tough question, you know, and it obviously depends on still policies that are going to be enacted. We're only at 2024, and there's still a lot that can be done. You don't want to appear negative and say the chances could be relatively low. You also don't want to appear unrealistic and overly optimistic by saying 10 will achieve them by 2030. And it might actually be some way in the middle, but I think there's a real importance in aiming for that target very, very clearly, loudly, vocally, and using that target to allow London to be a leader in driving the action that's needed to tackle this climate crisis. But I'm struggling to put a number on it, so I'm interested.
I'm struggling to hear a number in this.
So I'm going to put it this way. Do nothing, just continue, not do nothing, just continue what we are doing, we're at the 2s or 3s. So it depends. It is totally contingent on what we now see coming through from this mayoralty and from this government and from the current council leadership and the new council leaderships that will be elected in 2 years' time, if I'm correct. I am not a soothsayer, so I cannot predict what the dispositions of all of those decision makers are. But if they take the right decisions, those chances could go right up to 8 or 9.
Yeah, thank you for that, because obviously my big concern is that if we fail to hit it, the 2030 target, or we have to delay it, that there's going to be a lot of lost credibility there for then it comes to the next wave of policies. So I think, as you say, it's important that we hit this target. You just mentioned the boroughs, which was actually going to be my next question. Obviously, the boroughs it's a completely inconsistent approach. Even when you look at the council, so the council I sit on, Bromley Council, has a target to be net zero by 2027, but within that is only the council as an organisation. So looking then at how we can actually get a bit of consistency in there, what incentives do you think the Mayor and City Hall could be offering councils to make sure they're both setting targets and meeting them?
Yeah, that's a really tricky one, because there isn't, I mean, the amount of money, for example, if we talk about financial incentives, the amount of money that are available to the GLA, and this goes back to the point I was making earlier about London having some wherewithal to be able to bring in more finance and then being able to support boroughs in a coordinated way. Okay, that doesn't exist now. So the amount of financial incentive that can be given to boroughs is relatively low. And the thing that really concerns me about boroughs, okay, I'm going sideways from this question for a second, is the fact that boroughs and councils across the country have suffered so much in their capacity. They've been eviscerated for over a decade and are struggling just to meet statutory obligations, which has left them without the personnel, the institutional knowledge, and therefore the capacity to be able to be the guiding mind for local programs, retrofitting, solar, district heating, greening, shared mobility. And I honestly don't, so you can create incentives, but if the councils themselves lack the capability to deliver because of this historical lack of funding and through austerity and so on, then we're a bit stuck. You possibly will know better than me on the best way to recreate that capability at the council level, but I don't think that's going to be within the gift of the GLA. I think that is a conversation between central government and local authorities. But I do see that capacity gap and capability gap as being a really big problem.
Yeah, again, agree. And one of the notes I've written down here is capacity, and that's a key thing, because you do see these different targets across London. 27. I'm sure there might even be a council that's got 25. Yeah, exactly, which is brilliant, and it's really, really commendable. But of course, then in effect, you may have also tied yourself in knots, because 2025 is now a year away. So
25.
Yeah, they've got a lot of work to do, but I commend it. But Oh gosh, yeah, I'm talking about this time next year. We'll give them till this time next year, as better as a doubt. But with that, I think potentially though, because I think it's still great that these ambitious targets exist, but this may be a result of, initially in a few years ago, maybe the targets from the Assembly weren't quite radical enough, maybe, should I say, and now it is 2030 as a target. So maybe there's something which would be beneficial from a consistency across the city, which is not necessarily those who've got 25 or 27 targets, regressing and saying, okay, we got it wrong, but really this only will work with a coordinated effort and a coordinated plan. And the incentivization for local boroughs, I don't think is necessarily like financial as it were, but more the vision, the plan, the program of work that local authorities can do by providing those resources, by providing a bit of additional capacity, because the capacity is what's lacking so much within local authorities to enact what it is they set out to achieve in that first place. So I think a coordinated London plan that works specifically across all the boroughs so we can all reach that common target of 2030 would be a strong incentive for councils to both work together, work with the GLA and work towards a unified goal.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Back to you, Chair.